much for having me. I've been a peripheral part of this community for a few years now, and it is really special what you all have here and what has been built and what Nicole and Beth and I can hold
a little
it
closer.
Yeah. What Nicole and Beth and Haley and Jen have been building here. So this is really awesome, and thank you to the brave souls who came out to dinner last night. I had a great time, and yeah, it was super fun. We have so many inside jokes that you're not going to know about, but yeah, it was super, super fun. But I am here to talk to you about MedEdMentor as kind of a tool to help us talk about AI in health professions education. So we'll talk about where MedEdMentor kind of came from, what it is now, and what the future may hold using AI in our work. Just to disclose, I am the CEO and co-founder of MedEdMentor. It is technically a company, but we are a mission-driven organization. We have no intentions to, use this to become rich or famous or anything like that. What we did want to do was to put our intellectual property in one place, and a company was a good way to do that, especially when my partner Greg and he works at UCSF and I work at UIC, and things get funky when you have multiple jobs and multiple employers. And the reason we chose a for-profit over a nonprofit was, if you have a nonprofit, you have to have a board, and then we were worried we might not have control over what happens. So that's really why we're a for-profit company, is just so we can decide what happens to MedEdMentor. Okay, so here's what we're going to talk about. What led to the creation of MedEdMentor, what is supporting MedEdMentor now and into the future, and what are the pros and cons of using AI in our field. So, anybody commiserate with this picture? Yeah. So I went to residency at UCSF, and it's a HPE powerhouse, and I had the best mentors available to me. I participated in a track much like the Teaching Academy, an HPE training track. A lot of it was about teaching. That felt good to me. A lot of it was also about research. That felt really bad to me. And for those of us who are coming from the biomedical sciences, the clinical sciences, there is a lot of theory baked into what we do, but we don't talk about it. It's all hidden. It's not something we are brought up to learn. So when it became explicit in the HPE field, I was very lost. And I'll tell you a story. I was talking with, I was coming to the end of my training track, and we all had to work on a project, and I was sitting down with one of these world-renowned experts at UCSF, and she asked me about my project, like, what theoretical framework do you plan on using? And I still didn't really know what they were or what they were good for. I think I probably said something like, oh, there are so many good ones to choose from. I'll have to get back to you on that. And I never got back to her. And I did the whole project in an atheoretical way and submitted it for publication. Didn't get accepted. And I'm glad I went through all that, because I learned a lot through that kind of quote-unquote failure. But I knew I needed to get better at this. And I was too embarrassed to ask for help, honestly. So as my roles grew in HPE, I just dug in deeper and deeper and read and read and read until I thought I knew what I was doing. I think I know what I'm doing now. But I was like, I wish this wasn't so hard. and I wish we could make this more approachable for anyone. And this was around kind of 2020, and this is what one of my friends from the Macy Foundation says. That was when we discovered racism in 2020, and I was becoming, it's a joke, racism's been around too long, but where it became part of the consciousness, and I was very aware of the privilege I had being at UCSF and having access to all these people. And there are so many places where mentorship is not readily available. And if I'm struggling at a place like UCSF, what's happening to everyone else out there, whether United States or beyond? So how can we reach all these people who I think would benefit from some help? So that's where it started. And I partnered with Greg Au. He's the technical side of MedEdMentor. And the specifics of what you're looking at are not important at all. But another thing about UCSF is it is at least in the internal medicine program, it is a hub for clinical reasoning. They have these doctors who go all over the world and stand in front of thousands of people and talk a case out and just open their brain up and show you how it works. And the way they kind of do this is through schemas. So approaches to a problem, in this case, this is syncope or fainting. And this is something, there's a group of my friends, the clinical problem solvers, they host a couple podcasts and built this schema. But Greg and I, being steeped in this environment of clinical reasonings and schemas, we were like, what if we made a schema for finding theory? What if we built like a branching algorithm for finding theories? So that was our idea, our approach. And we worked on that. So we built over 250 theory summaries. There are some folks in this room who helped us with that. Thank you very much with doing that. This is just a screenshot of the first few. But yeah, we made summaries of over 250 theories. And we built a taxonomy for which you can kind of sort through them. And this was our schema. And if you click on the filter and explore button, this is all still there. You can play with this. This is how we broke it down. We broke it down by paradigms, so ways you see the world, whether that is, do you think about how people behave, so a behaviorist? Do you think about how people think, cognitivist? There's many more in that tab, but just how do you approach the world? How do you think about learning? And then scales of theory and educator's portfolio, so scales of theory. Does this theory apply to individuals? A lot of those are either like emotional or cognitive, interpersonal, social, organizational, and then the educator portfolios, like how could you use this theory? What are the best applications for this? Jessica, Army, Thomas Barrett, they don't work here, right? No, okay. I know some of y'all are on these, have author lines here. But here's an example of this kind of taxonomy, this paradigm, how we kind of triaged attribution theory, what paradigms it fit into, what it might be used for, and the scale of the theory. So this was our plan, and this is what we were building. And then something happened. So as far as I can tell, this is the first article in the New York Times about ChatGPT. This is December 5th, 2022. ChatGPT came out November 30th, so 6 days before this. So we started this idea of building MedEdMentor in early 2020. We had this plan for this schema and this algorithm, and got started on it in November 2021. And then ChatGPT came out about a year later, and I was freaking out. I was like, we've been doing 2 years of work. It's all out the window. Like, this thing is going to be able to do what we want to do much better than we can. And Greg, who is smarter than me in many, many ways, was like, no, this is going to help us. This is going to be a tool for us. And he kind of proved that to me. I told you I had people in this room and others help me to write theory summaries. I had 12 volunteers and myself, and we wrote 50 summaries in 6 months. Greg took ChatGPT 4, and a week later came back with 200 more summaries. And I edited them, but there wasn't a lot to edit. They were very good. So I was like, okay, maybe this will work. Maybe this won't be so bad. And then 10 months later, we were able to release MedEdMentor to you all. So that's the history of MedEdMentor. I want to talk to you about the present and what makes it what it is, what makes it different than like out-of-the-box LLM like ChatGPT or Claude. Here are 2 papers that have come out in the last 6-ish months. One spearheaded by Greg with some friends of the Academy. I know Tony has been here speaking with you all, and then my librarian friends from last night. Lauren Maggio's a librarian guru. There's this paper, and then this one came out a couple months ago. And what these are, despite their titles, this is how we are curating the content, helping MedEdMentor to give you the best evidence. It's similar to what any of you who are clinicians, if you've used open evidence, can I see a show of hands? Open evidence? Yeah, so open evidence is a LLM that is just fed published journal articles from the New England Journal, JAMA, etc. We're doing something very similar with MedEdMentor, and this is us trying to understand the process. What does a human mentor do for their mentees to help them get through the hurdles that I did on my own because I was too embarrassed to say I was struggling? So what do we do? So here we'll talk about this first article. And this is our figure 1. You got a solution?
Yeah,
okay.
We have a solution here. Sorry. Keep talking.
Cool. So over here, this is where Lauren Maggio came in. She's our librarian. Thank you very much. Thank you. She was our librarian expert, and she helped us to identify the high-yield journals in our field using a theory from library science. Helped us kind of find the core 150 journals that make up our field. So that's where we started. And then we trained a machine learning model. What does that mean? So we took this 150 journals, pulled out all the articles. That equals 2.3 million articles. We hand-coded 4,000 of them. So the team, the 5 of us, we went through 4,000 articles by hand and labeled, saying this one is medical education, this one is not medical education. We would go as deep as we needed to go. Often we could go by the abstract alone. We could say this is medical education. If we couldn't tell, we would pull the whole article and find out whether it was medical education or not. After we labeled all these, we hid 1,500 as this is going to be our test set. We're not going to use this for training the model, and okay, we're not going to use it for training the model, but we gave the algorithm these articles that we labeled, and it learned what we thought was MedEd or not. And after that, we used these to test how well our handle labeling lined up with what the machine was able to do. After that, we took all the articles, used that to further train the model, and then we used that and passed the 2.3 million articles through that filter and ended up with 120,000 articles that are medical education. So this is how we built the content that MedEdMentor works off of. So when you're searching and using our AI, you're accessing just 120,000 articles. So, down from 2.3 million. So it has like an expertise. It has this set of peer-reviewed articles that it's pulling from. And this is how we know that this is a good tool. So here you'll see of the articles we labeled, our classifier, our machine learning classifier, labeled 90% or more of these articles as MedEd. And that's good because many of these journals have MedEd in the name, so you would guess that a lot of them are MedEd. And Lauren Maggio, our senior author, I've never seen her get mad, but she is the editor-in-chief of MedEd Portal and was pretty upset to find out that mesh terms only find about 6, if you use the mesh term medical education, you only get about 40 to 60% of articles back from MedEd Portal. So that means if you use a search engine like PubMed, looking for these kind of things, you're going to miss a lot of what is actually in this journal. It just won't come back using this mesh filter. And then there's this other thing called indexing. So journals have to be indexed in PubMed. So this Journal of Medical Education Curricular Development, BMJ Simulation and Technology, and then I didn't label this one. They're just not indexed in PubMed. So no matter what you do, PubMed's not going to bring back results in these journals that have medical education and learning in the name. So we felt really good about what our tool was able to do. For those of you who are not physicians, we did this first with medical education. We are expanding now to include nursing, pharmacy, physical therapy, occupational therapy, optometry, everything, veterinary medicine. So this will be a true HPE database. And then this was the second piece. So this was us trying to understand the process. This paper took me 6 years to write, so we're not going to go through it all. But what I did was I interviewed 20 very well-known HPE research mentors over these 3 years. I did a qualitative constructivist grounded theory analysis. And my question was, how do you help people like me who are struggling to understand what theory is, what it's good for, and how to apply it to their work? What I would love for you to walk away with, many of us who are on the ground, we are dealing with problems. We have a problem we're trying to solve. We're trying to build a new curriculum. Our residents are struggling to understand a concept. We have these tangible things that we're trying to solve. What ends up in the literature, what people actually care about, are phenomena. And this took me a while to understand, but I'll try to explain it. No one really cares what's happening at Northwell, or UIC, or UCSF, because our problems are very specific to where we're working. I know Lee, I saw Lee, right? Lee Shapley? Lee, is building a POCUS point-of-care ultrasound curriculum for the internal medicine residents at his program. But he is dealing with so many idiosyncrasies of his place of work that nobody else cares about. But what they care about is the phenomenon of what do internal medicine residents need to know about POCUS? That is the phenomenon. So you extrapolate from your problem that Lee is trying to solve. I'm trying to build a POCUS curriculum for my internal medicine residents to something more general that many people would care about regardless of where they work. What are the learning objectives that I'm trying to give this group but other people could learn from? So this is what we're trying to do in our field, is better understand these phenomena. The problems extrapolated one level to something people can understand. But basically, we use theories to help us understand phenomena. That's all I'll tell you about this. I'm happy to talk about this more individually, yeah, so that I spent a lot of time learning what these people do and how they help and what questions they ask. And these are the pillars holding up MedEdMentor: our content and this relatively deep understanding of what true human mentors do to help people, and then Claude. Claude is our back-end LLM engine that we're giving all this data and context to sort through this data and bring it back to you. But that's MedEdMentor today, and those are our pillars. So what does that mean for what we do? I'm going to turn the tables. I'm asking you questions now, so get ready. This is your warning. No right answers, no wrong answers. This is all us theorizing together. Why do why do we do scholarship? Why do you do it? This is a personal answer, so you can't be wrong. It's impossible. And
Alice tells me to.
Has Alice explained to you why you need to?
My feeling is, I'll tell you.
Let's see.
Everybody does such good work, like you said. I'll talk loudly. Everybody does such good work, like you said, but it's all internal. And unless people, it's like, and not even everybody at Northwell will ever know what you do. It's not possible that everybody at Northwell will know what you do. If we don't share it, then it's so insular that, yes, it's good for us or you, but the world needs to know the quality of work that's coming out, because scholarship is evidence that we are being innovative and academic and evidence-based. So I just came back from IAMC, which is the International Association of Medical Science Educators. I'm a little overwhelmed because what I saw happening there in terms of AI specifically was like, we're in the dark ages where we are in Northwell, really. You know, we're lucky we have our AI hub, but it was unbelievable in terms of MedEd what people are doing.
Mm-hmm.
So people are out there and you need to know it, and if you don't present and write, then you're just gonna be on the back end.
Awesome. So a couple things I heard there was it's how we share what we're doing. It's how we engage with our colleagues in the field and kind of understand what others are doing. If we don't engage with the material, and I think if you don't try to do it yourself, it's hard to really understand the problems that people are dealing with. So we share, we understand, we engage with our community. Any other reasons people do scholarship?
I just want to say one reason we don't do this is for money. So just so everybody. There is no financial gain.
Correct.
Doing the scholarship.
Correct.
Even if you have a grant, you have to pay for it.
Yeah.
Doing the work.
absolutely, yes. But thanks to groups like the PATMDTA, there are some groups that they're rare. This is a really special place you all have, a really special group that is supporting this work, so yeah.
Oh, actually, over here with the mic. And then
Okay.
to you. Yeah.
Hi, so kind of building off what's already been said is trying to avoid recreating the wheel.
Nice.
So many people do a lot of incredible work, and to be able to collaborate and build off rather than starting from ground zero is so helpful and helps us do more together.
Absolutely. One great resource for not reinventing the wheel is MedEd Portal, which we've talked about, and is a great resource for this group. You all are doing, a lot of what you're doing is the on-the-ground, like really practical stuff that other people could use. So definitely something to make sure you're checking, to make sure you're not reinventing the wheel, and then putting your wheels in there when there's one missing.
As a bedside clinician, one of the reasons that I chose to do scholarship was because we're living in a day-to-day situation, and healthcare, it's very stressful as we work. And I needed to find a way to flourish. And I needed to find a way to be able to make the world a better place, and to be able to come into the clinic and to be able to work alongside coworkers, to be able to feel that gratitude and to be able to encourage the heart of what we do, but to be able to find that ability to, as I said, to flourish.
So you do it for yourself. And hold on to that mic. Hold on to that mic, please. I'm going to come back to you. I would love for you to answer that.
So AI, when I started my scholarship 5 years ago as an inaugural scholar, was really not there. And talk about trying to dig deep into MedPub, talk about trying to dig deep about finding my transformational leadership theory and what that meant. And now, on the other side, having graduated and defended my dissertation, I was like, oh my God, this could have really helped me so much, because I'm working full time, I have all these other roles. And it would have just enabled me to, okay, do it faster, but do it to allow me to flourish within it and not feel so disheartened, like your picture that you first showed up. That was me, right?
Very cool.
Buried, right? And
Yeah.
so I would have loved what you had presented here today.
Okay.
5 years ago.
Love it. So you don't, that's a very hopeful outlook, optimistic outlook that it would help you to flourish better. Anybody else have, let's come up here. I want to hear your why for scholarship, and then you can answer this question or not, but tell us your why.
I've been a clinical educator for 8 years now, and I was just working on instinct before I met Beth.
Yeah.
And so my why for scholarship is to understand that there actually is educational framework behind what I've been doing. And then I learned to use it more to be more effective as an educator, because I have a short amount of time to do that, because the people we're teaching have to focus on patient care. So that's the why. I hadn't done anything with AI until Beth said, guess what, we're doing AI, and now I'm using it all the time, and it's enhancing my teaching.
Very cool.
I'm using it to make pictures, and I just used it to evaluate some other things that I was looking at. So
Cool.
I see it as another tool in
Yeah.
our toolbox,
Okay.
not a short circuit, and it gave me another idea while you were talking.
Oh. Ooh.
I'm a paramedic at Danbury Hospital, and I teach new EMTs, paramedics, and train them once they're certified to be on the road.
Very cool. Love that. Well, anybody have less optimistic views of this? Boom, all right, let's do it.
I saw Candace's hand first.
I think it removes some of the friction, and they're to some extent good. You get to an answer faster. You get to, I've used it to organize my thoughts faster and spend less time doing things, but there is some value in friction. In struggling to get something done and feeling of accomplishment and solidifying it. And so AI for our learners, they're using it to get to that answer faster, but I worry about the depth of that knowledge.
Good. Can we,
AI scares me. Honestly, it does. So when I read it, I don't know how real it is, how true it is. So then I tend to find myself doing even more of my own research,
Good.
which is then more exhausting. So I have to just get comfortable with it more. And the ChatGPT is a little bit easier because I feel like it's, more secure.
Yeah.
Versus getting out there with all the other bots around.
Cool. Thank you all for playing with me in the sandbox here. I appreciate all your thoughts. Here is what I think I know about AI related to HPE scholarship. So it has access to way more information than any human could possibly have. That's a fact. In my experience, it can teach us things. If you want it to break down a concept, especially when it has access to really good information, it can do that for us. So it can help us to learn concepts. It cannot learn for us. So you cannot offload your thinking. You cannot offload your understanding. It cannot learn for us. So while it can, summarize some things that are appropriate to be summarized, it can't help us to internalize that, to use it, to make it malleable, to make it something we can actually use. It sounds smart. It sounds really smart. It doesn't actually know anything. So I don't know if there are any philosophers in the room. We can talk about what knowing is or what it means, but it has no experience. So it puts words together in order based on math. When I'm writing about something, I'm putting words together. Maybe there's some math involved, I don't know. But it's based on experience. I'm writing those words to describe something I have experienced or know. It doesn't know anything. So is it real or not? You often have to do more research to verify what it's telling you, because it doesn't know anything. It's very helpful at editing. So it knows a lot of grammar. It knows a lot of, if you have your ideas already and the things you want to say, and often if you've done your first pass, it can help improve that. I was mentoring someone. I work a little bit with the Harvard Macy Institute, and I mentor their scholars, and someone was describing their project to me, and at the end of their description, they were like, couldn't AI just do this better than me? And in that case, the project he was describing, I was like, yeah, probably. Because it was like pretty straightforward. There was nothing, it was a very small, contained, specific curriculum design project. I was like, yeah, we're going to need to build on this. That AI could probably do this very specific task better. But anytime you get complex, it's not great, because it doesn't know anything, because it has no experience. It will never. I think our jobs in HPE are safe, because it can never experience it. There's a guy named Will Bynum. You may have read some of his work. He runs, he's done a lot of research, and he runs something called the Shame Lab. He studies the experience of shame in health professions education. AI cannot experience shame. So, like, it will never be able to write about shame in a meaningful way. So, what does this mean? How does this translate to me? I think what we have done at MedEdMentor is a good use of AI in terms of finding good information quickly. We have limited the scope of what it can access to what we believe to be good information, and then it can sort through that. But it cannot learn that information for us. If you have it summarize what it gives you, how much does that mean to what you know and what you understand and what you can apply to your work? It is really deceptive as a writing tool. Alice stepped out, but does anyone else, I'm sure people like review abstracts for conferences or journals or anything. Anyone do that? Have you seen some wacky stuff showing up lately? Yeah, some people are having it write for them. And it's often pretty easy to tell. And it's, writing is hard. There's a lot of friction in writing. And that's where the learning and the thinking happens. So if we outsource our writing to AI, we're not thinking, we're not learning. I think it's really good at editing. If you've done a good first pass and you've put your ideas out there, it can help you to hone your ideas to make them. I write some weird stuff and it makes complete sense to me. And then I give it to someone else or AI, and it's like, you are not saying what you think you're saying. And that helps me to get that together. AI is good for day-to-day tasks, like a small, contained curriculum. It can do that like pretty quickly, especially if you already know the content and you want to put out there, and you can troubleshoot it. It can do that. It cannot think deeply about our field, and it will never have context. It will never experience what we experience. So we should, this is what something Greg and I say to each other. We should be using AI to go deeper, not faster. We should not be using it as a shortcut. We should be using it to help us find more things, to make sure we're covering all our bases, to challenge us, to bounce ideas off of, but we have to do the thinking. We have to do the learning. And this is how we are building MedEdMentor, to go deeper, not faster. So I was, struck by this conversation with this mentee who was like, couldn't AI do this better? It's like, yeah, it could. So what should we be using it for? I think if you're missing something if you're not using AI, at least to check what you're doing once you're done, to make sure you're not missing something, to make sure you're communicating your ideas as effectively as possible. It is a very useful tool for many things. So if you are not using it at all, I think you're missing out on some help, a support. So I think anything you do, you should at least pass it through once to get feedback. What it is, so I think all HPE scholarship should be supported by AI, but I think these high-touch things like qualitative analysis, you got to do that yourself. Beth knows, right?
I just presented a paper at IAMC 2 days ago comparing hand analysis to AI analysis for a project that I did. And we had a lot of success. We did both, and we compared them. There were two things that were not evident in AI.
Mm-hmm.
empathy and building resilience
Mhm.
that came out in the hand analysis.
Yeah.
So that was useful,
Mm-hmm.
but we also made a mistake and did not, and I put this as a limitation, did not use multiple different AIs to do the analysis.
Mm.
So we only used ChatGPT, no, we used Gemini, excuse me, this was Gemini. And we should have used 3 or 4 of them to see if other things would have come out. So you're saying not to use it for qualitative analysis, but that's really up for discussion still.
Correct.
And I feel like, it took 5 minutes to do the qualitative and it took weeks to do the hand analysis.
Yeah. I
That paper was published, the difference in those.
You should use AI to support what you're doing in these high-touch qualitative analysis things. It's really good at seeing, like, doing your initial code book, finding all the themes that you want, giving it all your interviews or whatever, and saying, is there anything I'm missing? Or is there anything that you would add to this list that I've created? The problem with offloading qualitative analysis to AI, so that paper I just had published, I was in those transcripts for 5 years.
Right.
And I can quote you like word for word quotes from these people right now. And I feel like I have a good handle on this thing. I really wanted to know, how do people help mentees to understand theory and to use it? And I couldn't have done, if I offloaded that to AI, I wouldn't understand that. I wouldn't know that. It wouldn't be mine. And I wouldn't be able to use it. What's that?
5 years.
What's that?
How many other things do you think you could have published if you weren't doing that? I mean, this whole time-saving piece is
Sure.
just enormous for qualitative.
Yeah, but I have a lot of problems with academia in general, and this quantity over quality thing is not for me. I would much rather publish one really good thing every 2 to 5 years. Yeah, but yeah, our quest for quantity is a problem. So yeah, it should definitely be a part of it, and there are tools specifically for qualitative analysis. But if you're not in the data, I don't trust you to know what you learned. And then anything that's highly context specific, because it can't experience what we experience. It can't experience our context. So I think our HPE scholarship, we can use AI to support almost all of it, including qualitative analysis and context specific stuff. But I think we should be doing a lot more of this kind of thing, where our position as humans in the field experiencing the thing is part of the scholarship, is what makes the scholarship the scholarship. Because that's what we bring to it, is our lens and our experience and our understanding of having gone through it or witnessed it ourselves. Questions?